much for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you this morning. You'll have to forgive me if my mind wanders just slightly as I stare down this corridor. I keep getting transported back to my own community in Hamilton, where right now in one of the poorest neighborhoods in our city, we're having community conversations where residents and a developer are talking about how the reuse of an old cotton mill with a history back many years in Hamilton will help spark and encourage revitalization in a community that is on the rise. It sits on the north end of a plot of land where on the south part there is a new school and community center that is now a hub of activity in that neighborhood. A new park that has been newly revitalized and is used now more than ever. The oldest skateboard park on the eastern seaboard, drawing young skateboarders and some of those aging folks that still think they've got what it takes, passing on a bit of their knowledge, I guess, to the younger folks and being laughed at on occasion as they try and still do the old stunts. It is a microcosm of how community is coming together in Hamilton. And the fact that developers are thinking about including community voices in how to redevelop spaces is exciting. And I think I'll take the schematic of this back to my community and say, there's something to think about. In Hamilton, we have been strengthening our community through a commitment to multi-sector collaboration. And this is not a concept that is anything new to those that are in the room today. In fact, you can teach me and others as much as perhaps I can share some insights myself. But I would suggest to you that it is important these days, particularly in the climate that we are in these days, where the mantra seems to be that it is about cutting back, that it is about the individual. If you're okay, then you're okay. And we really don't have the collective resources to do some of the nicer ways of developing our communities. In the midst of some of those voices that are creeping in, it's important that we continue to talk the message of collaboration. It's important that we build capacity and skills amongst our organizations and our community leaders, wherever they are, to model community collaboration. And it is important that we stress confidently that sometimes the process is the product. That if we want to see some of the change in our community that we long for, then we cannot throw out good process in order to try and achieve something that, quite frankly, we've been unable to achieve for years. We need to change the way we're doing business. In Hamilton, we work under a collaborative premise that if you bring the right people together in constructive ways with good information, then those individuals and the groups that they're connected to will develop authentic visions and strategies to address the shared concerns of the community. Bringing together the right people is not about bringing together just those who think the way I do or you do. That small group that get it and that we feel easy to talk with. It is about bringing those voices that challenge us, bringing those voices that we need to build an understanding with and by, and also to find a way at our tables to level the education, to come together as peers across various sectors to advance those issues in our communities that we feel passionate about. Good information is critical as we make good decisions. And with that information, with that rich cross-section of people, as you and I both know, amazing things are possible. As was mentioned in the introduction, that model in Hamilton was used in terms of a new approach to poverty reduction. Talking about poverty in our community was not new. But in 2005, we intentionally entered into a process to do something in a different way. Bring together individuals from the private, public, and nonprofit sector. Sit at the table with those with lived experience in terms of dealing with the day-to-day pressures and challenges of poverty, and together define how we would move forward as a community. Initially, that collection of people allowed us to raise the volume on the issue in our community, our local newspaper, the Hamilton Spectator, dedicated 3 years of journalistic time to not just reporting once in a while on issues related to poverty, but reporting consistently on why poverty was such an important issue to tackle in our community. It was quite powerful when they launched their 3-year poverty project that the Hamilton Spectator removed all stories from the front page of the newspaper and instead had one statement, that there were about 90,000 individuals living in poverty in our community, individuals whose stories rarely made it to the front page of the Spectator, and they committed that that was going to change. That partnership has changed attitudes. Heading into our last municipal election, 80% of those polled in Hamilton indicated that they wished to see more investment in addressing issues of poverty. A tremendous change from previous polls that had indicated that although people saw poverty as an issue, there was a little bit less support for investing new resources to tackle the issue. Working together with our community foundation, and I'm so pleased that representatives from the Hamilton Community Foundation are here today over at Table 5 at Sharon Charters, and you should find and seek her out today and talk to her about the Neighborhood Hub project in Hamilton. Hubs in our community where residents are working alongside service providers and businesses to change the outlook and trajectory of neighborhoods. Working together with our homeless service providers, the City of Hamilton created a blueprint for how to do better by some of the most vulnerable in our city. Here we work with both the private and public sector, a housing-first approach that didn't wait for housing to be built, but utilized the existing resources across our community. It was an opportunity to work with the private sector and have them understand that providing good quality housing to individuals who had been homeless was not a risk that was too great to take. It was an opportunity to welcome great tenants into their buildings. Over the course of 3 years, nearly 300 individuals with chronic histories of homelessness were moved into housing. So successful was this partnership that last year, Hamilton closed an emergency shelter for men, the first community in Ontario to close it down because of a lack of need for those emergency shelter spaces. Not because we bust them to another community, not because we encouraged them to leave, but because we found ways to have them be part of our community, and not in clustered geographies in one area of the city, but stretched from stem to stern in the city of Hamilton so that they can be part of the vibrancy of all of our neighborhoods. Communities are now working together to save schools and turn them into community centers. We're working together on day-to-day issues that are faced by individuals in our community. Issues such as transportation to areas where they can buy fresh, good quality food at affordable prices. I was so heartwarmed by an example out of our neighborhoods where the community came together and said, we don't need a large-scale, expensive program. We just need to find a way that we can have a shuttle service to our local supermarket because transit is difficult in this neighborhood in which we live. It's a long walk to get to the transit connections, and we're spending too much money as residents in this neighborhood taking taxis to get nutritious food. That $20 return taxi ride could be better used to purchase fresh food for our families. And so they reached into the strengths of their neighborhood. Individuals who had experience and training in driving people, large numbers of people, whether it was in a school bus or other aspects, that they could drive people to this place. Connections to a local car dealership that said, use our shuttle van. We don't need it in those off hours. We need it for our customers. We'd be pleased to support you. Individuals who are willing to do the scheduling and even care for children if families didn't want to take the children with them to do the shopping. And lo and behold, some 2 years later, it still runs like a top. No community investment necessary in terms of large new dollars for granting and programs. Just a little bit of good community coming together to make this happen. But multi-sector collaboration didn't stop with our approach to poverty reduction. Because in Hamilton, we recognized that economic activity was just as important to tackle as the issues that underlie poverty itself. So our multi-sector collaboration approach spilled out into economic development, where all sectors are now working to improve the economic trajectory for Hamilton. A Hamilton Proud campaign was launched alongside an ambassador program that didn't just seek to connect business with business, but also talk to business about all of the rich opportunities that were there in our city. It boosted our image as a city that was a great place to do business. The collaborative worked with city staff to identify ways to cut the red tape and encourage more investment, and it's having results. New businesses, large and small, relocating to Hamilton, eager to take advantage of the quality of life. And small businesses are sprouting up in neighborhoods across the community, providing opportunities for local residents to improve the quality of life in their neighborhood. Initiatives like a bicycle co-op on the ground floor of a new social housing complex that's bringing great opportunities for living in a neighborhood and matching it with a new startup organization on the ground floor. A floral arrangement business called Crazy Daisy, because its founder, long time dealing with mental health issues, has been supported to develop her entrepreneurial spirit into a floral arrangement business. What to me is significant about the story is that a local startup angel investor, the type that looked more to the IT world and some of the emerging bigger business opportunities, took on Crazy Daisy, incubated the program in their innovation park, and helped ensure that she was off to a great start. First Ontario Credit Union in Hamilton, initiating a microloan program, and of course, those things aren't unique and new, but trying to listen to the community a little bit and create a more broader set of entrepreneurial opportunities that would be eligible for the funding. They listened to those at the neighborhood level who said, sometimes the rules around the microloans are a little too tight, the parameters too narrow. And so it was an opportunity for them to look at a different way of supporting people to start their own businesses at a neighborhood level. And the fact that this program was developed with the participation of residents, with the input from the Poverty Roundtable as well as our Jobs Prosperity Collaborative, indicate the value of that multi-sector approach. Multi-sector collaboration is happening in children's services. Under Hamilton's Best Start initiative, which looks at providing children with the best start in life, we've been working together to deliver services at a neighborhood level, encouraging service providers to get out of their own spaces and go and meet people where they are at. It's increased participation in the services, reduced wait times for some clinical intervention, and we are identifying children in need of support earlier than ever before in Hamilton. The multi-sector approach has also encouraged investment from the private sector in children's services, including the development of an early learning center, again in one of Hamilton's most challenged neighborhoods. A huge physical investment as well as an opportunity investment. And what is wonderful for me to witness is the way now we are viewing innovation in a different way. We're not only seeing innovators as those students in university, we're seeing the innovation agenda starting prenatally in Hamilton. It's why early childhood educators have a seat at the table of our Innovation Alliance in our community. We know that the jobs of the future require a good basis of education at a post-secondary level. More and more of our jobs require that. And also our startup businesses require an innovative spirit. Why wait till someone's in university to start that? Let's start it earlier. It's also offered opportunities for local economic development. Licensed home-based childcare is in great demand in the city of Hamilton. And so in a partnership with our childcare community and our neighborhoods, there is training and development opportunity being provided to women with the opportunity of starting a small business in their own home, providing quality childcare under a licensed umbrella for our community. And finally, on our most ambitious project to date, we're looking at broad-based neighborhood development in the city of Hamilton. A sustainable communities approach that will be holistic, placing human resources on the ground in terms of community development workers who will help connect people with opportunities socially and economically. The goal is to reduce the disparities in health, economic, and social outcomes in our neighborhoods. The reason we're doing it is clear. Healthy neighborhoods equals a healthy community. But the process we use is equally important. The kind of collaborative spirit that's here today, that's in all of our communities, is what will drive us forward to success. Thank you very much.